Audio speed.
Recording.
Hey everybody, welcome to season 2 of Sunday Morning Coffee. I don't know if you can see it, but we've got a new rearranged studio. Probably have to go on Instagram and give y'all a live tour. That'd be pretty cool. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna say a quick prayer and we're just gonna hop in. So Father God, I thank you for all the things that you've done, all the things that you will do, and all the things that are in works. I pray that my words are not my own, but what you want to say. Amen. So, a little bit of backstory to this. I was working myself like a dog. I didn't have a day off from work for a couple of months. Yeah, and I was just mentally exhausted. My body was just exhausted. And I was sitting in worship, and I remember just kind of sitting there, not really doing anything because of how tired I was. And I was talking to God while the music was going on, and I just stopped talking for a second, and I looked up at the ceiling, and I was like, God, I think I'm broken. And like instantly, I was in the spirit. And it was actually here at the Philip house. We were downstairs, and I had, in the spirit, run up the stairs, into my bedroom, out my bedroom window, and then landed on the ground. And when my feet hit the ground, these clouds came and had set really, really low. And very close to my house, there's a bridge. And just a little bit below the clouds, on top of the bridge, was this man standing, and I could only see him from a little bit below the knees down. And instantly, I knew that I had to follow him. So I ran to him, and as I was getting closer and closer, he had pushed off really, really strongly above the clouds, and I was running, and then out of my back, my wings came out, and they looked like they usually do, but they were missing a bunch of feathers, and that was news to me. So I ran, jumped up above the clouds, and instantly is just like in a completely different place. I knew that it wasn't of Earth. I knew that I just knew that I was in a different place. So I jumped up above the clouds and I was flying, and I came to this. It was a large stretch of barren land, and then there was this moat, and this moat was. It had no bottom. It was ginormous. And on the other side of the moat was this big stretch of land, kind of in the shape of a circle, and there were these beautiful mountain ranges on it. So the man, or the figure that I was following, still had the clouds around him. And once he saw that I was following him, he began to run, and he wasn't running away from me. He was running because he wanted to take me somewhere, and he knew that I would follow. So he was running, getting after it, and as soon as he came to the edge, I thought he was going to fall in, but he had jumped really, really hard, and out of the cloud, these wings popped out. And these wings were huge, and there was no black in them. There was no shadow casted by it, and he just kind of glided over the chasm, and didn't beat his wings once. And I knew instantly that if he would have beat his wings just once, it would have been worse than any hurricane, or it was really powerful. And so rather than just land on the other side, he had landed and then kind of dissolved into the ground. And from where he landed, these really big, strong hands came up out of the ground, kind of like this. and I flew to the top of the palm, and I was just walking around, and then I saw these three figures. There was the figure that I was following, and there was Jesus that I had described in a previous video, looked exactly the same. But there was a new one that I had never seen before, and it was like an outline of a man, but the outline was white, kind of like an LED strip, but a little bit dimmer. Little specks of light going throughout the body, and these two really bright eyes that shone like headlamps. And it was later revealed that that was the Holy Spirit, and that was really cool to see. So I walked up to them, and we just kind of looked at each other for a second, and then this bench came up, and the three of them had sat down, and then I waited kind of like for permission to sit down, and they waved me over, and I sat down with them. And then this overpass came over us. I actually drew it out. And as soon as the thing came over, it just started to rain. And I love the sunset, and I love the rain, and I love the God that I serve. And all three of those at once was just a really awesome, beautiful thing. And we just sat there, watching the rain, looking at the mountains, looking at the clouds as the sun was setting. And then I just kind of looked to my side at them, and we stood up, and then walked forward a little bit. And I looked back, and the bench and the overpass were just gone, like they had vanished. And the three of them were right in front of me, kind of right here, like this. And the Holy Spirit reached behind his back and pulled out what looked like a coffee pot. This is what it looked like. And mind you, I am not the artist. There's a reason that somebody else is over there on the canvas. So bear with me. And yeah, he pulled out this coffee pot looking thing. Might have been because I love coffee. But it was filled with this clear liquid. And crazy thing about when you're in the Spirit, you just know things. And instantly I just knew they were tears. And I knew that they were my tears. And I don't cry very often, so this had been probably collecting for a very, very long time. So kind of reached over, had it like this, and then they all three started reaching in and kind of pinching at the liquid, pulling up the liquid, and it looked like a circle. They pulled out the liquid and then went like this, and they were forming feathers. And I looked at my wings again, and I noticed that more and more feathers were gone, and they started forming these feathers and then putting them where the other feathers had fallen off. And they kept doing this until the wings were completely fixed, completely fine. And then they all just smiled at me and then gave me a really awesome big bear hug, just like a father would a son. And we stood there for a little bit, and then the vision shifted. So at the base of the mountain, there's this really long stretch of just people running this race. And on either side, so the floor is right here where the people are running, and up above that was man and angel just cheering on the racers and worshiping God. So for whatever reason, my vision shifted to this one particular choir, and there was a woman conducting this choir of man and angel, and I only got to hear what they sounded like for a split second, and it was pretty cool. And she had looked down, and she had recognized somebody, and this person they were running, yeah, but it was slow, it was sluggish, and she looked like she was about to quit. So this lady straight up did a barrel roll over, there was like a little lip, barrel rolled over this thing, landed on the ground, grabbed this lady's hand, and they started running this race together. And for whatever reason, I know the lady's name. Her name was Rashida Jones. And they were running together, and then my gaze went back to where I was, and so my gaze had shifted back up to the mountain, and the three again were standing like this, and I was right here, and I was on this part of the mountain getting ready to go back to run this race. And I looked back at them and just smiled, and they had smiled back, so I ran off the tip of the middle finger and then spread my wings open, and the sun hit them in just this way that they looked like fire, and it was really cool. And as I was gliding down to the track, I looked back one more time, and the mountain and the figures were gone, and I knew that mountain had just been created, and that it was created for me, a special place. And I really hope that it's still there, because I would love, when we get to heaven, for you guys to see it. That would be really cool. I looked back and the mountain was gone, and I was gliding back down, and I landed behind Rashida and this lady who was running really, really fast. And I put my wings away, and I got my life back on track, pun intended. So, it's okay to not be okay. To understand that some things are just broken. What's not okay is staying in that and just accepting brokenness and staying in that brokenness and staying in sorrow. It's not a good place to be. When I told God, I think I'm broken, I was asking for help. So if you feel like you're broken, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to reach out. God's always going to be there. And this is just a little bit of evidence of that. So yeah, if you're broken, ask for help. And God will be there. So, thanks for watching this video.
So today, instead of me writing something down, something that I feel like God is communicating to me, He had me just flip over to Job. When I was sitting here in this chair, I thought I was going to write something, and then instead He says He wants me to read something. So I'm going to be reading from Job 28 today, and the title of it in my NIV Bible is Where Wisdom is Found. So it starts off, "There is a mine for silver, and a place where gold is refined. Iron is taken from the earth, and copper is smelted from ore. Mortals put an end to darkness. They searched out the farthest recesses for ore in the blackest darknesses. Far from human dwellings, they cut a shaft, in places untouched by human feet. Far from other people, they dangle and sway. The earth, from which food comes, is transformed below as by fire. Lapis lazuli comes from its rocks, and its dust contains nuggets of gold. No bird of prey knows that hidden path, no falcon's eye has seen it. Proud beasts do not set foot on it, and no lion prowls there. People assault the flinty rock with their hands, and lay bare the roots of the mountains. They tunnel through the rock. Their eyes see all its treasures. They search the sources of the rivers and bring hidden things to light. But where can wisdom be found? Where does understanding dwell? No mortal comprehends its worth. It cannot be found in the land of the living. The deep says, "It is not in me," and the sea says, "It is not with me." It cannot be bought with the finest gold, nor can its price be weighed out in silver. It cannot be bought with the gold of Ophir, with precious onyx or lapis lazuli. Neither gold nor crystal can compare with it, nor can it be had for jewels of gold. Coral and jasper are not worthy of mention. The price of wisdom is beyond rubies. The topaz of Cush cannot compare with it. It cannot be bought with pure gold. Where then does wisdom come from? Where does understanding dwell? It is hidden from the eyes of every living thing, concealed even from the birds in the sky. Destruction and death say, only a rumor of it has reached our ears. God understands the way to it, and He alone knows where it dwells. For He views the ends of the earth and sees everything under the heavens. When He established the force of the wind and measures out the waters, when He made a decree for the rain and a path for the thunderstorm, then He looked at wisdom and appraised it. He confirmed it and tested it. And He said to the human race, "The fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to shun evil is understanding." Thank you guys very much.
So this is what I painted today. The Lord showed me lilies. They're supposed to be lilies. And He told me Matthew 6, which is talking about if He takes care of these flowers, then He'll take care of you. And He showed me the pot was the globe. And so He's taking care of everything. You know the song, He's got the whole world in His hands. Yeah. So yeah, that's what He showed me. And it's from Matthew 6.
I want to go get breakfast.